What a day that will be when my Jesus I shall see.
Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. You know, we always try to bring you the most fascinating stories, and today is no exception.
Yeah, this one is definitely a unique perspective.
It really is. So today we're going to be diving into the world of, well, kind of like second birthdays?
Sort of, yeah. Not in the cake and presents kind of way, though.
Right, more like a second birth of the self, a turning point that completely changes someone's outlook on life. We'll be looking at excerpts from a personal testimony called 2X Gayborn.
Which means twice born.
Exactly, twice born. It was written by a woman named Leni Furrer, and it offers a glimpse into how some people experience their faith.
And it's a belief system that's incredibly important to millions around the world, even if not everyone fully understands it.
Yeah, and that's kind of the mission today, right? To understand it a little bit better.
Exactly, to get a feel for it. So in Twice Born, Leni talks about going to this event with a speaker named Wilhelm Pauls. At first, she thinks it's just a normal gathering for people of her faith, but she's in for a surprise.
Yeah, she seems totally caught off guard. What do you think made this event different?
Well, the term used in the German text is Evangelisation zur Entschuldigung, which gives us a clue.
Okay, break that down for me.
Sure, basically means it's an event specifically designed for evangelism. That is, converting people to Christianity.
So less of a casual get-together and more about spreading the Christian message.
Exactly. Leni was probably expecting something totally different.
And this is where I kind of get tripped up. Leni considers herself a pretty devout Christian already. Like, she mentions praying every night.
Right.
So why would she need to be converted if she's already a believer?
Well, and this is important. Being born again, in the Christian sense, means something beyond just identifying as Christian. It's about a deeply personal spiritual transformation.
What?
It's about consciously choosing to accept Jesus as your Savior. It's a pivotal concept for some denominations.
So it's not just about actions, it's like an internal shift in belief.
Yeah, you got it. It's this idea of spiritual rebirth. And Leni seems to be grappling with this, using the word bekehren a lot.
Bekehren, which has that sense of turning away from something, changing direction entirely.
Right, like a 180.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Is that a common feeling in these kind of experiences?
Absolutely, yeah. Leni's going through this internal struggle, questioning why she needs to change when she's already practicing her faith. It really highlights how diverse interpretations of Christianity can be, even within the same faith.
Totally. And then she uses this image of feeling lost, like in Wurzelterbaum, an uprooted tree.
Oh yeah, very powerful imagery.
I mean, you can feel that sense of being adrift, unmoored, right?
Yeah.
Like searching for solid ground.
Definitely. And it's interesting how she chooses words that evoke strong emotions. It emphasizes how personal this experience is for her, this turmoil she's feeling.
So it's not just about theological concept, it's an emotional journey.
Exactly. And that feeling of struggle, of questioning, is pretty common before a big spiritual shift.
It's like hitting rock bottom before you can find a new path.
You could say that, yeah. And that's where Leni's second birth, as she calls it, happens.
And she describes it as this incredible rush of peace and joy, knowing that God has accepted her. Like a huge weight lifted.
And that's a really common thread in these born-again stories. This sense of relief, finding your place, purpose.
Dimness, right. Like everything's made new.
Yeah, it's a powerful concept for sure. And the way she talks about the aftermath is fascinating too. It's like the Bible becomes this brand new book to her, not just some ancient text.
Like a direct message. She even calls it a Liebesbrief Gottes, a love letter from God.
It highlights the deeply subjective nature of religious experience. What one person might find meaningless, another finds profound meaning and guidance in. It depends on your individual interpretation and connection to it.
And she also talks about finding a community of others who have had this experience, wiedergeborene Menschen, born-again people.
Right, that sense of belonging, of finding your tribe, your people who understand what you're going through, can be incredibly meaningful.
Especially if you felt isolated before.
Right. Exactly. But, you know, it's super important to remember that this is one person's story.
Yeah, of course.
One very specific perspective within a much, much larger and diverse faith.
Definitely. Christianity has so many different denominations and interpretations.
Exactly. Leni's experience is just one branch on that huge tree, so we can't generalize it to everyone, right?
Right. It's more about understanding this particular viewpoint and how it shaped her life.
It's about recognizing the power of these belief systems and their impact, even if we don't share them personally.
It's like we might not all speak the same language, but we can still appreciate the music, right?
That's a great way to put it, yeah. It's about expanding our understanding of the world and the people in it.
And that's what we're all about here, right?
Yeah.
Exploring those different perspectives and making those connections.
Exactly. It's like she's letting go and putting her trust in something bigger than herself.
Right. Trusting in something she can't fully grasp. It kind of makes me wonder, is there freedom in that surrender?
Well, if you go by Leni's account, that letting go is actually what sets her free. It's like by loosening her grip on her own life, she can finally shed those old burdens, and step into this new way of being.
She even uses this really powerful phrase, Sundenlast, that feeling of being weighed down by past mistakes, like she's been carrying this heavy load and suddenly, poof, it's gone.
And that ties right into this core idea in Christianity.
Yeah.
Redemption. The belief that faith in Jesus can wipe away those past transgressions, give you a clean slate.
So it's deeper than just changing your actions, right? It's about changing how you see yourself, your past.
Exactly. A new understanding of yourself, your relationship with God, with the world. A total shift in perspective.
And the way Leni describes this is so vivid. She uses these words, rein geführt, like being cleansed, purified, and schwebt leicht, as light as a feather. It's almost like the spiritual change has a physical effect on her.
You're picking up on something really important there. It's not just an intellectual exercise for her. It's a deeply felt experience that changes her whole being. I mean, maybe you've felt something similar in your own life, that need for something more.
Oh, absolutely. That yearning for deeper meaning.
And that's where Leni's second birth happens. And this transformation, it's not just internal. It affects how she interacts with the world, too. She talks about finding this new community, remember, with other Wiedergeboren Menschen.
Those born-again individuals.
Right. It suggests that her experience really pushed her to seek out others who get it, who share this new faith.
Like finding your tribe, those people who speak the same language. We all crave that feeling of belonging.
For sure. And for folks who felt isolated, out of place, that feeling can be incredibly powerful.
And her relationship with the Bible changes too. It's not just some old text anymore. It's personal, a direct message, a Liebesbrief Gott, a love letter from God, as she puts it.
That's so key. It shows how subjective religious experiences are. What seems like nothing to one person can be deeply meaningful to another. Depends on your interpretation, your connection.
It's like the words on the page didn't change, but her way of seeing them completely transformed. Kind of like when you have those aha moments, when something finally clicks, even outside of religion.
You got it. Those moments of clarity can be so powerful. Think about a time when you changed your mind about something important, or finally grasped a concept that always confused you.
That feeling when things fall into place.
Exactly. And for Leni, this isn't something she keeps to herself. It's a gift, a wunderbare Geschenk that she wants others to experience too. Which brings us back to that idea of evangelism, this urge to share your faith and hoping others will find the same transformation.
So it's not just believing, it's about spreading that belief too.
It's common in these types of stories, that sense of mission, bringing others into the fold. But again, got to remember, this is Leni's perspective. Christianity's vast, diverse, with tons of interpretations and practices.
Yeah, for sure.
Her story gives us a peek into one specific branch. It doesn't represent everyone. Got to keep that in mind.
Absolutely. Her experience is unique to her.
Exactly. But while we're focusing on her story, we're also looking at how faith shapes people's lives in general. Recognizing the power of these belief systems, whether or not we personally subscribe to them.
It's like expanding our own maps of the world, even if we don't plan on visiting every single place.
Perfect analogy. It's about understanding, even if we don't necessarily agree.
And speaking of connection, Leni also talks about this newfound Liebe zu meinen Mitmenschen, love for her fellow human beings.
Yeah, beautiful, right? It's like this experience opened her up to this wider sense of empathy, compassion.
And this connects back to that idea of agape love, right? That core principle in Christianity, selfless, unconditional love for everyone.
You nailed it. Regardless of their beliefs or actions.
It's not just loving those who are like you or who agree with you.
Exactly. It's about loving everybody, even those who are different or hold opposing views. That's the ideal, at least.
That's a powerful concept.
It really is. And agape love is often seen as the driving force behind things like charity, social justice movements, interfaith dialogue. It's about seeing everyone's inherent worth.
It's like this ripple effect where personal transformation can inspire positive actions out in the world.
Exactly. While Leni's story is deeply personal, it touches on these bigger themes of faith, change, connection, things that resonate with lots of people, regardless of their background, these universal human experiences. you know?
So even if we don't share Leni's beliefs, we can still learn something from her, right? And think about how our own experiences shape our worldview, how we treat others.
Absolutely. That's what's so cool about personal stories. They give us this window into the human experience, make us think about our own values, beliefs, choices. And speaking of choices, Leni calls her decision to accept Jesus a sprung ins ungewiss, a leap into the unknown.
That really stuck with me. I think we've all taken those kinds of leaps, whether it's in our personal lives, our careers, or just facing a new challenge.
That's such a good point. That idea of embracing uncertainty, trusting in something bigger than ourselves, we all struggle with that. It's about accepting that we don't have all the answers. And sometimes the most meaningful journeys start with a step of faith.
Letting go of that need for certainty and being open to something bigger, even if it's a mystery.
Exactly. And that's a powerful message regardless of your religious beliefs. It's about having the courage to embrace the unknown, recognizing that we can all change, we can all transform.
So whether it's a spiritual awakening, switching careers, starting a new relationship, or even facing a fear, there's always risk in that leap of faith.
And that risk can be scary, absolutely. But it can be super rewarding too. It's in those vulnerable, uncertain moments that we discover what we're truly capable of.
Mm.
Think about a time you took a chance on something that scared you, something you weren't sure would work out. What did you learn?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. I know for me, those times, even though they were uncomfortable, they led to the most unexpected growth,
Yeah.
like real breakthroughs.
Exactly. Leni's story might be rooted in her religion, but it speaks to that broader human experience. Searching, questioning, taking those leaps that shape us.
So her leap might be different from ours, but the underlying feelings, the courage it takes, that's something we all connect with.
Absolutely. Exploring these stories helps us understand not just other people's beliefs, but our own capacity for growth, change, connection. It helps us see what unites us, even when we're different.
Like building those empathy muscles, understanding that even when we don't agree with someone, we can still respect their journey and how strongly they feel about things.
Such an important skill, especially today. Understanding and respecting different views is crucial for building bridges, having real conversations. It's about recognizing that we're all human underneath it all.
So we started with this personal story about being born again, but it's become something bigger, hasn't it?
It really has.
It's about how people believe, how we change, how we connect, no matter who we are or what we think.
Well put. And as we wrap this part up, I'd love for everyone listening to think about their own leaps of faith. Those times you chose to trust, to embrace the unknown, and started a new adventure, big or small. What were those experiences like? How do they shape you into the person you are today?
It's in those moments, those leaps, that we often discover who we really are, what we can really achieve. It's amazing how this second birth for Leni, it's not just some, abstract idea.
Right.
It affects everything. Her relationships, how she sees the world.
What's really striking is how she links this transformation to wanting to help others. She even says, "Ahnungslos am größten Geschenk vorbeilaufen,"
Meaning,
like walking right past the greatest gift without even knowing it's there.
wow.
She truly believes people who haven't experienced this are missing out on something huge.
It's like she found this amazing treasure and wants everyone to share in it.
Exactly. It's like saying, hey, this changed my life. Maybe it could change yours too.
That's that evangelism idea again, right?
Yep. Spot on.
Yeah.
It's not just about what you believe, but sharing it, hoping others will have that same transformation.
And it all circles back to that title, 2 extra born, twice born. She literally celebrates 2 birthdays now.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
Her actual birthday and the date of this spiritual shift.
That's powerful. Shows how deeply this changed her. It's not just a passing thing. It reshaped who she is, her whole identity.
It's like a clear before and after, right? And this twice born idea, it's not just Christian either.
Right. It pops up in tons of spiritual and philosophical traditions.
It's like a metaphor for any huge personal change, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It could be a sudden realization that shifts your whole worldview, or a gradual evolution of your beliefs.
Or even something hard you go through that makes you reevaluate what's important.
Yeah, those moments you realize, hey, I'm not the same person anymore.
So it doesn't have to be religious at all.
Nope. It's about those times in life that make you see everything differently. Like you've been reborn with this new understanding of yourself, your place in the world.
Makes me think of those leaps of faith we talked about.
Yeah, good connection.
Those times we embraced the unknown, stepped outside our comfort zone, maybe even had our own version of a second birth.
Absolutely. Think of a time you made a big change in your life. Started a new job, moved to a new city, faced a fear you had for a long time.
even an internal shift, like letting go of old ways of thinking.
All leaps of faith in their own way. Those times you choose to trust something beyond what's familiar go into uncharted territory.
And those leaps, they can be scary, but also amazing.
No doubt. They can totally reshape our values, our relationships, our whole life path.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Leni's experience, what's the takeaway? Even if we don't share her beliefs.
I think it's about how powerful belief can be. It reminds us to search for meaning and purpose, whatever that looks like for each of us.
Right, whether it's religion, spirituality, relationships, creativity, we all look for something to ground us.
Yeah, to give us direction, a sense of belonging.
Leni's story shows us that these life-changing moments, they can come out of nowhere. It's not always a straight line.
Totally. Sometimes it's those leaps of faith, those times we let go, become vulnerable, that lead to the biggest discoveries.
About ourselves and the world around us.
Beautifully said. And as we say goodbye for now, I hope everyone listening will think about their own leaps of faith, those times you trusted, embraced uncertainty, started something new, big or small. What were those like for you? How did they shape who you are today?
It's in those leaps, those moments, that we often find out who we really are, what we're truly capable of. Thanks for joining us, everyone.